Game number 5 of the Grand Finals is here. The FNCS Grand Finals has been incredible to watch unfold this weekend. If you are just tuning in with us, I'm also D-Phase alongside the best Taco. If you're calling all the action, it's been absolutely wild to watch the games change round after round and watch the adaptability come into play. This time, Cooper and Miro, they say, you know what, MDF, forget your story about trying out the forecaster. I want to go back to what works best. They get the better drop, they clean up house, and now they have their full natural loop path back and available for them. And the action doesn't stop here. You get straight to Baka and Pars, who tried to finish the fight quickly, just like they did in game 4, Taco, but this time, not so hot here. Pars has to play solo.
But Pars might be able to protect Baka just long enough. He could look for the revive. Was opting to commit, but Chance immediately pressuring in. Frenziato, unfortunately, not going to be enough to win things over. Chance, just a sliver of HP here. Aaron probably celebrating the fact that his duo still left standing. But for how much longer is the real question, MDF. We saw another team on the horizon on that west side of the map. Could be looking to pressure very soon if Chance and Aaron aren't careful. But
what a
different
tough
story.
One. Yeah, just tough though. All in all, when you have, you know, top 10 and nearing top 5 capabilities unfolding for you, and then you get taken out another game. When it comes down to FNCS Grand Finals, any given day, we always say it takes about 4 good games to be up at the top 5 to, you know, win a tournament. And if you have a perfect 6, you are so far in ahead. That is usually about the average. And for Baka and Pars, they've dropped 2 now, but you get into Muzz and Paper, they've already kind of dropped 1, right? So you're starting to see that if you want to stay up towards the top, there are no more mistakes any of our teams can make if they are inside the top 10 currently. They essentially have to play exceptional Fortnite here and out, which is hard to ask, right? When you have teams contested like you're watching right here. There's a reason Acorn and Cold, you know, wasn't necessarily highly highlighted as a team that can walk away with a clear win this weekend. It's because of all of this activity happening here at the Fencing Fields. However, you have a hot signing here, Man City picking up Cold. You know, vibes are probably very good, and this is where they shine best, Grand Finals lobbies.
But triple con at Fencing Fields is still a triple con, MDF. And as for Dasharuni, lost Seek here in the process of disengagement up against the likes of Bryson Chubbs next to Hazy Hillside. Dasharuni trying to do what he can to close in on Bryce. It's interesting that Dasharuni still willing to give chase here. Seemingly upset, probably just more upset about the fact that he lost his duo. Wanting to make sure that Bryce won't be able to intervene as Dasharuni's trying to get a setup going, building some brick around this reboot van. But the reboot van, practically a bat signal, that's gonna force Bryce to start running back over. Dasharuni, though, very likely to commit here once he's this far invested. No, Bryce won't actually consider interrupting. So a good success there for Dasharuni. Gets Seek back into the action. Now 1 versus 2 for Bryce to deal with here at Hazy Hillside.
Let's take a look at this elimination here. Peterbot and Boyo jump in and clean up not only Zavi, but Neko as well here pretty quickly. And just like that, they find themselves with 2 eliminations, continuing to pad up the points, putting them up to 157. This is very good for them, but they do need a lot more material here if they want to get situated for endgame. So plenty of work ahead of Peterbot and Boyo. We talked about it, right? This is a team that literally took a win. We watched it unfold as they destroyed Bugin and Aviv in that 2v2 endgame. Things just truly connected. On over to Acorn and Cold, who seemingly have pushed out a team here from a battle, but they've got an elimination for their troubles there, and it might be on to Muzz. Because I just see, no, never mind. That's Paper and Muzz there in the distance. Luckily, the map reveals the color of the coordinates.
Gotta be Impen or Mason.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, is we're looking at all this experienced teams, right? A nice little fun fact coming in for the start of game number 5 here, as far as our leaderboard is concerned. Our top 5 on the leaderboard, guess what? They're all top 5 teams that are returning duos from last season. So, experience definitely proving to be king here so far today. As Cold and Acorn finally going to get an opportunity here. They've closed off Nisha from the rest of the teams still left standing here at Fencing Fields. Empen and Mason, really the only duo that was looking to directly challenge Cold and Acorn at that moment for the claiming of the Society Medallion and that Mythic Striker. Ritual and Reet, though, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And their strategy so far is just securing this forecast tower on the hill next to Dumpenhausen.
And they need to be counting their lucky stars that they weren't contested for the forecast this time, because last game it really affected maybe their mental, very much their game overall. And, you know, I'm very much happy as well that we got to see the struggles that Acorn and Cold are undergoing in the early game, because it really does shape the narrative, the story that they're in first, but not because it's been easy for them by any means. They have had to really, really work for it in their early game situation. Peterbot and Boyo as well. Bit of a different story, right? They win their early game contested fight, and now it's like, where are all the players? Why can't I find something a little more here? But they do have a forecast, of course, as well, right? So a lot potentially to be revealed for them.
Seeing Peterbot and Poyo, though, each with 1 elimination apiece. As far as our Storm Surge values on the day are concerned, in Zone 5, usually looking at around 211 damage before that threshold. Players are limbed for it to be turned off, and it gets quite steep by the time you reach Zone 7 with it being 420.
Oh. Biggest elimination of the day, though. Muzz gets taken out by Acorn and Cold, and I'm looking at Paper take off to the races here. This is a terrible position now as he rotates right into Def and Polarized as well. So everyone recognizing we have a solo on the loose here. Polarized and Def, though, they know better than to be overly excited and chase. Discipline kicks in, experience kicks in, and everyone stops for a second, and Paper has to count his lucky stars that it's an experienced team there on the other side, which is going to give him a moment to breathe. But little does he know, he's moving right back into the hands of Acorn and Cold, who have come back to the Frenzy Fields, or the Fencing Fields here. Has Paper picked up Muzz's card? I find that hard to believe, considering there was so much happening there.
This is a real from the frying pan into the fire situation right now for Paper.
Man.
Having just lost Muzz, don't even know if he had that opportunity to get the reboot card, as you just mentioned, MDF, and being sandwiched now between Cold, Acorn, Death, and Polarize. It's almost like every direction that Paper tries to turn is just going to be met with an even more problematic solution. But fortunately enough for Paper, Cold, Acorn, they don't want to stick around the likes of Fencing Field any longer. They want to get a little bit of elevation going. Even though they have 2 E-limbs, could always have more surge tag damage. As Bugha and Aviv getting one of their first eliminations here in match number 5. Decent amount of loot scattered around them as well. And Bugha, checking out his streams, one thing this man certainly loves, it's that lock-on pistol and taking full advantage of any small hill, any little semblance of elevation, because he wants to try and catch players. Wouldn't be surprised to see Bugha and Aviv maybe even looking to move closer towards that Rift Island. Rift Island is providing such a great opportunity when players opt for that Rift. Just get pieced up by that lock-on pistol while they're rotating.
Take a look, though. Bila and Quanti here in a fight up against Higher and Raze. And they're pretty spread out as they're trying to play a little bit of a pincer move here. So Quanti's going to take a lot of damage. The sniper shot comes in, doesn't quite connect, and he might have played his trump card just there. And Bila's in a world of trouble here. It's not looking too good for Quanti or Bila as things start to swing into the momentum of the boys in the center. So far, so good for Raze and Higher. And Quanti takes off. So Bila, I think it's about time to go meet your teammate there before it's too late. And there it is. Off he goes.
Quanti and Bila were relatively split, probably a little bit too split for their liking in that engagement. Only bringing that up because, again, you've got the likes of Clix, Epic Whale. They've been hovering Rebel's Roost after securing what they need from Lavish Lair. And this rotate, decent positional advantage as well. Able to get some elevation up on some of these hills and now just scout, see where the rest of the teams at Rebel's Roost are actually looking to position. And Aviv and Bugha got to weather the storm here just a little bit. Work their way up this cliff face. Skater and Dalty directly behind them, though. Not going to make it easy for them to get in completely unscathed.
Yeah, a lot of punishment taken here for this fight. Definitely not ideal considering the zone's pretty far. And I'm actually curious now of whether or not Muzz and Paper managed to get the pickup here, because I'm looking at the zone. I'm seeing some fresh arrows inside of the fencing fields, and you know, just upon further thought, this is one of the few times where if you're someone like Muzz, if you're someone like Paper, who your teammate was downed and you are just about to play the pickup, you're happy the zone didn't land here. Like, you're actually grateful that the zone pushed further out. It gives them time to play into the storm here, because otherwise this wouldn't even be a possible or a plausible pickup by any means.
But wait, well, look at that team coming out of the hazy hillside. Paper and Muzz, they're actually not going to be the last ones to the party here. Paper, though, probably happy at the fact that he was able to bring Muzz back to life. But again, MDF, we've got 1-2 teams trailing directly behind Paper and Muzz. If they're not careful, they might just find themselves in another solo performance situation. So definitely need to be wary of the fact that they are not the only team rotating so late. And again, because of the fact that Paper had to go for that reboot, it's gonna cost them a lot of time in terms of reacquiring the resources and materials needed. Wouldn't be surprised either. Paper and Muzz probably wanting to get aggressive, make sure they get that surge damage back up to healthy levels in comparison to what the rest of the lobby has probably been able to accrue during the meantime, while Paper had to even go for that reboot van play.
Jumping into the mix though now with Clix and Epic Whale, I mean, it's not looking too great for them right here. It seems to be one of the more difficult games for them to find their footing, to find their lead, if you will. Point-wise, tournament-wise, they've been doing great. And Clix in just consistent fashion, really in the zone here, hitting these sniper shots when it matters. That's all he wanted, was the extra damage. But again, they could use a lot of material count here. They could use extra shields and heals. See what ends up happening. There's fights happening everywhere though. Bugha and Aviv continue to get active from the outside of the zone to the edge. They get into a fight immediately. This is up against Possessed and Snacky right now. Into the box, Snacky tries to put it all on the table, but in the end, it's Aviv who stays consistent and true. He finds the elimination, and like we just mentioned, we knew Clix and Epic just don't seem to be in it. This game right here, this is one that hasn't quite gone their way and continues to remain unfavorable. Even after hitting that snipe onto Oliver, OG, and Jeff, they decide to push into them. And they return the favor, it seems like.
You got the audacity to shoot me? That's basically the position that Asian Jeff and Oliver OG seem to take up there for a moment with Clix and Epic Whale. Beef seemingly ended though, as Asian Jeff, Oliver OG, recognizing the fact that they were not in an ideal position compared to where the rest of the lobby is currently holed up. So that will be a rotate away from Clix and Epic. A little bit of damage application though in return. Going to set themselves up nicely to prioritize a little bit more on their future rotations. But again, this zone, MDF, potentially looking, if it keeps pulling a little bit more west, a little bit more south from its current Seek here at the Lavish Lair area. Might see a little bit more of that troublesome water zones coming into play.
It's not looking good right now for Tahi, who's currently down here. And Skittles on the other side of the wall here. Shots are starting to come in. The pressure's on. And look at all this material Scented is sitting on right there. And he's going to have to skate out of there. Gets the reboot card of Tahi's. And at least they weren't in complete shambles here. Although this is for sure a offsetting situation to be in. You know, a setback, if you will. He has to play for the save here. Let's take a look at how it all unfolded. He jumps in, turns around, finds the opponents up above him, and what should have been it for them turns around. Can't count someone like Scented out. Saw what they did last game. Skittles and Scented making that end game, I think was the top 3 or so. Put them right back into this tournament. Before that, they were kind of middling in the competition, not doing anything too great.
Yes.
But this is their chance now.
It's both Skittles and Scented trying to make plays for a reboot on their duos. Scented, though, doesn't want to let Skittles have it for free, considering that Skittles just played spoiler towards Scented for trying to get that reboot off onto Tahi. Now, one more time, the trade exchange. But at this point, it's not looking worthwhile for either Scented or Skittles, as Scented will be the first to fall. But even with Scented having dropped those medkits and the shield potions, Skittles now so far outside of the zone. Even if he gets that reboot off, very high likelihood that Skittles and Trashy could get picked off the moment that they start to re-enter the zone, and where everyone else has already been able to find their ideal form of positioning, Skittles and Trashy are going to be that one step behind the curve.
Yeah, more importantly, what happened here where Ritual is down and Re is playing deep into the storm here and below the surge. Something must have gone terribly wrong for them to continue to trail this far behind when they have had what should have been a fairy tale start for them, an uncontested weather station for the forecast tower. And now the shots are coming in. They've been outed by Jeff and Oliver OG, who have the edge of the zone. And Re does have a lot of heals, so I think he'll be able to survive for quite some time. But it's just a matter up to the lobby now of whether or not they decide to fight. Behind them, there's a player there. I don't know what's happening there. I saw Paper fall in the feed too, so that's a whole nother situation we're going to have to tune in with as well. It's got to be
Skittles and Trashy.
Yep, here they are.
Re getting cut short here, but he does. This is an engagement that he wants to force. Skittles falling incredibly low. Re just steamrolling through his box. Skittles, you went on a rescue mission for Trashy, and it's going to cost you in the end game here. As now, Re, medallion in hand, one more medkit still left to work with. It's going to be Trashy that he's going to try to confirm another elimination onto, but no, Trashy instead forces his way into the zone. But Re, damage already done. Trashy just having to play it out as a solo, and Re with the huge refresh to extend this Game 5 lifeline.
Not only that, the damage. He was over 200 below, and he finds a fully healthy Trashy in the storm. The finish, the down body, this is everything that he needed to at least have a chance. And this is why you never, ever, ever count yourself out. But more importantly, you never let your guard down when you are inside the storm. You never know what danger is lurking nearby. But back with Acorn and Cold, this is almost like poking the wound of all the other players that are up at the top of the standings, our second and third place teams that are not doing as well. You have Acorn and Cold doing exceptionally well. And they are, again, arguably contested by 2 or 3 teams at their drop, and it just does not even look like that's what's been happening for them.
Acorn and Cold definitely seeming to have found their groove, as Clix and Epic, they want to get into their own rhythm as well. But Clix, Epic, a little bit more towards the dead side of zone, but Clix does have eyes on Chimp inside of a box. always willing to take peeks as well with that Reaper Sniper, as pressure continues to stay applied onto Chimp. And Chimp without Scissor, Clix likely spotting out the fact that this is a solo he can look to abuse for surge tag damage. If not, just another elimination for more points.
Well, don't forget, everyone that's been playing well so far, it's really, really important that they have a strong foundation leading into tomorrow, where there's going to be 1.5 times the points. Everyone's going to be able to hit the drawing board and come in with a fresh take, fresh strategy. But for game number 5, this is really going to be the solidifier for anyone who has a strong position inside the top 10. And you can see Muzz and Paper are surely going to slip down. Nox and Crisp as well, falling as soon as they have been, are giving everyone else a chance to really run their way back up into this. Clix, Epic Whale, Yamzo Rise, Aviv Bugha, Sphinx, and Pump all have a chance now.
And Cooper and Miro, last match, keep in mind, they had that forecast tower. This game, they do not. And it makes a world of difference in terms of how aggressive Cooper and Miro have actually chosen to be, just barely managing to stay above that damage threshold. Clix and Epic Whale, though, again, well above the damage threshold. Now it's just about crossing this massive body of water and hoping that they don't get pieced up along the way. Got a solo above them as well. Although Quanti, silent as a church mouse currently, does not want to be spotted out by a duo, especially not one as treacherous as Clix and Epic Whale.
And just a quick update, Bugha takes down Ree, so Ree is out. That is it. Third place spot now opens up as more runway inside of the top 5 begins to reveal itself. But unless Acorn and Cold can be stopped here, it's just going to continue to grow this lead. And Cooper and Miro are also hot on their heels. So a lot of big dogs in the running here, but there's a lot of room for top 10, and it's absolutely going to change here once this game's over. Take a look at the Storm here, the edge where Cooper and Miro positioned up. They have continued to seemingly know where I think the zones are going. They might have honestly secured another forecast tower for all we know at this point. They have been just in such key positions every single time.
But even if the positioning is strong, you never know which teams or solos might be getting a little desperate depending on where their surge strategy has left them. Acorn and Cold, though, they've been on the low ground for quite some time, and given that they're at the front side of this zone, Clix Epic, they definitely want to try and control high ground for the time being, but it's really just going to depend on if they can prevent these teams from just grappling up to them, because that's been the main crushing factor for the high ground.
We've seen this happen, though. We've seen Clix play this out exactly like this, where he builds up this big singular tower and then they just give it up. I think they've learned their lessons, but this time it seems like they want to commit once again. So I wonder what learnings are they taking into this high ground hold here. This time, Dan Redux looking for revenge. They fought them earlier in game number 1. They actually were the team that first take them out, and now they lose high ground to them. And you can see this is what I'm talking about. This is the risk of going for height. Now look, Clix is in a terrible position here with no material, and you have all these other teams trying to throw their hat into the mix here. And up come Rise and Yamzo, up go Agers and Kanata. Everyone that needs these big games to either come back or huge games to solidify a top position are right back in the mix. And this is incredible for Clix and Epic to find the refresh and to go straight back to the top with their newfound mats.
But Clix just building up with wood. Surely someone from down below is going to be able to spot that one out and look for the chop. Right now, though, Cooper and Miro a little bit more preoccupied with the solo that tried to jump into their box. That's going to be a nice little pickup there for Miro and Cooper. Point elimination. Mild siphon on the materials. Clix Epic, though, dropped to secondary height for the time being because of Peterbot and Poyo, current high ground overlords.
Bugha, Aviv, Yamzo, Rise, all of the big dogs are coming up, trying to take their stab at height. But more importantly, they just don't want to be in this crevice down low. This is what the grapple hooks allow you to do, play for these odd positions. And Clix now is in a world of trouble. He's been boxed up. He has to fight for it. It's not looking good. He goes down to the hands of Aaron. Meanwhile, in the low ground, Cooper and Miro continue to play the front side the way they have, staying down, finding points. It continues to rack up the death toll tally up here. The points are looking great for Cooper and Miro right now.
Cooper and Miro are just profiteering so heavily off of the low ground, picking off teams that try to isolate themselves more towards the backside of the zone, but Cooper won't be able to make it through the pre-existing builds, gets split off from Miro for a moment, and the stone tick damage, just too much for him to deal with. As now Miro uses his final shield potion. It's all about placement points. He's trying to hang again towards the backside of that zone, trying to stay ahead of the congestion, but nearly goes down. Quick moment of relief, but again with 0 builds, he's forced to the low ground. He's forced to just try and scurry around here, hope that nobody spots him out, goes for a massive shot, but it's gonna be Yamzo who comes out on top.
I love that. Yamzo and Rise played that smart. They jumped out with a ramp, edit together, making sure they don't leave any room for error. And they are playing exceptionally well. They're actually playing so good here that Peterbot and Boyo might just have a run for their money. There are no more heals here left to survive the White Storm. They just have to fight it all the way for the low ground. Yamzo knows how to play these peaks. It's textbook, but it's not good enough. The trades are good, and Peterbot wins another game, putting him right back into the top 10, into the conversation.
Peterbot and Pollo, they snuck up on the high ground, and they snuck this one away from Yamzo and Rise. It truly looked like this was going to be the Yamzo and Rise show, but Peterbot, one more time, reminding all of NA exactly why his mechs are considered to be one of the highest on this region.
And it's incredible. You would think the meta changed from last week to this week or the weekend before that, but no, it's just the level of competition has elevated. Take a look at how Peterbot jumps in with Boyo, and they are playing how they should have been from game number 1, and all of a sudden close that gap with a victory royale here. The second one on the day for the grand finals weekend. Congratulations to Peterbot and Boyo as they take a